Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is September 3rd, and right now we're looking at the visible satellite imagery. You can see the marine layer trying to punch into portions of Southern California yesterday morning. Didn't make it too far inland, but as we scroll through the day yesterday, you'll notice that some of these cumulus clouds building up across the peninsula and the transverse range here in the Sierra Nevada. But the lightning activity stayed off across portions of Nevada. I didn't see any lightning strikes occur with this cumulus activity across some of the desert areas as well. You can see a few storms across Arizona, Utah, and Nevada, as I mentioned. Then we scroll in the overnight hours last night. Not much going on except in Utah and portions off to the north and east of that. But then we scroll on in through this morning here, and you can see we do have that marine layer trying to push back into some portions here. Not really on the immediate coastline for the central coast there, and the Bay Area. Some nice glorious sunshine this morning as well. So we're going to take a look at what's coming up here. We're going to take a look at the extended forecast and the heat that's going to be building here. And we're going to be looking off in to see what kind of troughing is potentially coming through the extended forecast as well. Get some interesting signals here in some of the model runs here. So we'll go over that in a bit of detail. Looking at the high temperatures today, you can see Palm Springs 112, thermal 109, Anaheim 92 degrees. You can see San Diego checking in right around 80. So once you get away from the immediate coast, the next few days are going to be warming up quite dramatically. Look at Big Bear Lake, nice comfortable 81 degrees out there. Taking a look at Thursday, look at these temperatures really ramp up. 109 at Riverside, San Bernardino 110 degrees, Oceanside even 91 degrees, Irvine 95, Anaheim 101. But yeah, pretty warm across the desert areas. We got excessive heat watches and warnings out and heat advisories and whatnot. We'll take a look at those in a moment. You can see the peak high temperatures. This is for the heat wave kind of Wednesday through Friday here. Look at Lancaster 106. Look at Northridge 107 degrees. Even out towards the coastal areas, warming up a bit here. You're going to see some 80s out there as well. You can see Los Angeles checking in 99, Pasadena 104. And here we go with some of the heat advisories across some of the inland areas. Again, once you get away from the immediate coastal areas here, and you can see Highway 101, for example, is right here. Once you get into the interior areas of the valley, San Joaquin, Sacramento Valley, you got the heat advisories. It goes on in through Thursday night. So here's Eureka, California National Weather Service. And again, the interior area is warming up quite dramatically. A lot of areas going to see 100 degrees or plus. And of course, on some of the coastal areas, not quite as warm as you can see. You can see Shelter Cove topping out at 78 degrees on Wednesday, September 4th, tomorrow. Here we go with the hot days ahead. Highs 100 to 106. Of course, it includes Redding, Chico, Sacramento, Fairfield, Stockton, and Modesto. And of course, just watch out. You know, you guys know the drill here, but it is going to warm up. Reduce time in the sun if you can between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. And the weekly planner here does show a chance of some storms returning. I'll show you that here in a moment for some of the Sierra Nevada. This is Reno, Nevada here that does cover some portions of Eastern California as well. So taking a look here, this is Las Vegas, and you can see the temperatures really ramping up. Look at Furnace Creek, 118 by Thursday and Friday. Las Vegas checking in at 106 for all 4 days. So yeah, heat is coming. And this is for Phoenix. Again, the excessive heat warning does include Joshua Tree, Desert Center, Blythe, Parker out there, as well as portions of Arizona and Phoenix. So taking a look at the high resolution rapid refresh, zoom in a little bit here on that. And if we take a look at that, you can see that we have some thunderstorm threat across Nevada and Utah here, across the Sierra Madre out there, but it does not show much for the state of California at all for the next couple of days. And we scroll on in through early Thursday morning there. The European goes out a little bit further here, so we'll take a look at that coming up. It does show a little bit more activity, but this, you know, I mean, you might get a strike or two out here. It just doesn't look good for portions of California as far as if you're out there trying to chase lightning strikes or thunderstorm activity. But as we go on in through Wednesday here and then Thursday coming up, you can see a little bit of that activity potentially returning to the Sierra Nevada for Thursday afternoon. And then a little bit more so as we go through Friday, including some in Northern California. And then as we go on in through Saturday, see a little bit more of a brief monsoon moisture surge tries to move into some of Southeast California, maybe up towards Las Vegas and portions of Arizona. But then maybe one more day Sunday, and then we're going to start to bring this troughing towards the region that might kick some of this activity off to the east for a while. And we'll take a look at that here in a moment. You can see, I mean, if I'm scrolling back and forth, pretty unusual there to not have some thunderstorm activity across portions of Arizona, although it is getting to the time of the season where we start to reduce the monsoon activity as well. So taking a look at precipitable water, a percent of normal. I just want to kind of show you this here as we go towards the end of the week. You can see this monsoon moisture surge right there. So that's the one coming in as we go on in through Friday and into Saturday and Sunday this weekend. But then if you notice, we're going to get some kind of troughing. It looks like you're off the west coast, and look at this drier than normal here start to show up here. So we'll take a look at that in more detail here in a moment. Starting now, this is last night's, actually yesterday afternoon's European model run. Here's that system that went through the Pacific Northwest, and then you can see the ridge build. There goes our heat maker. You can clearly see the axis all the way up into British Columbia. We scroll on in through the next few days towards the weekend here, and you can see that trough developing excuse me, off the west coast of North America there, and that would really shunt that high pressure system off to the south and east, and this would cool us down a bit as we go through this September, maybe 10th, 11th time frame there, at least for a while. We definitely would take it here, but that would put, some interesting scenarios, some gusty winds, and maybe some increased fire danger out here as well, because these systems are not likely to be widespread precipitation makers here across the region. I'll show you what I mean here in a moment. But look at some of these troughs that the European likes to drop down as we go to the extended forecast. This is just fantasy land, but kind of interesting here. And again, this would not be a widespread precipitation maker, but it could bring some gusty winds out there. Now, taking a look at the European, I just want to kind of show you the same map here. As we scroll through the next few days, there is a chance for some thunderstorm activity at that bit of a monsoon moisture surge, but then we start to bring the system through the Pacific Northwest, and you can see not a lot of precipitation for California, but as that upper level low drops down through the very extended forecast, I'm just showing you that because the inside sliders, they're not, even in the winter time, don't produce a lot of precipitation. It may bring some showers to the Sierra Nevada and portions of Nevada if something like that did develop, but we're not looking at any kind of widespread coastal precipitation down into Southern California at this time of year. It's just simply too early. So yeah, pointing that out there. Hopefully that makes sense. It didn't confuse you even more. But now looking at the European, what I like to do here is to try to see if any kind of offshore wind events are coming. You can kind of see we do get a bump in the high pressure here as we go, and that's going to produce, it's going to lighten the winds for some areas and maybe even bring a brief period of some offshore winds to some of the coastal areas here, allowing it to warm up a little bit more. But we're not looking at any big offshore wind event, no Diablo or Santa Ana wind event coming up with that. But I like to look at it on the extended forecast because sometimes you'll see these big ridges and these surface pressures here over the Great Basin, which can kind of give you a heads up on the extended forecast on if we're going to get some offshore winds. But you can see that is clearly not the case. As we scroll all the way out to 300 hours, you don't see any big ridge of high pressure moving down the interior or the Intermountain West that would be driving those type of winds. Not yet anyway. That can change, and we'll be checking back on that on a daily basis. Taking a look at the GFS, let's see what it has to say. You can see the big ridge, good model agreement on that building up as we go towards the end of the week. Now we scroll off into the future. Do we see that trough? Indeed, we do. So it is there, and that would squash that big ridge here and let's push it off to the south and east of the southwest USA. So that would bring the temperatures back down towards normal or even below normal for some areas, as you can see that one trying to swing through. And then, we're looking at over 200 hours out. So not too, it's not worth our time to get caught up in those details too much. We've talked about that. So taking a look at the GFS, this is 2-meter temperature anomaly. So scrolling over the next few days, it's already pretty warm this time of year. And then you can see on top of that, you've got some places 15, 20 degrees even above normal. This is a running one-day temperature anomaly map here. So you can kind of see as we go out through September 7th, that looks like a pretty warm scenario. In fact, let me update that and we'll see. It continues out here a little bit. You can see a little bit of relief here as that trough starts to try to make its way down as we go through the end of the period there, about 5-6 days out. But if we look at the daily 2-meter max temperature, this is the national blend of models that takes several different models into account when trying to calculate its maximum temperature. This is for today. You can see Redding 101, some 100 degrees out there across some of the San Joaquin Valley, down towards Bakersfield. And we go through tomorrow, warming up a bit more. Look at that 105 Sacramento. You're probably looking at 102, 103, and pretty warm except for the immediate coastal areas. And then you can see Thursday even a little bit warmer. There's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but then there is hope in the future for that troughing to come down here. It would really start to drop some of these temperatures, perhaps 20 degrees or so by the time we go on in towards next week. So holding out hope for that relief there. Now, take a look at the 6 to 10 day. This goes through September 12th. Still have that above average signal here across much of the west. and a little sliver of above average here across Pacific Northwest. Does include some portions of Northern California. We'll be breaking that down to see if one of those systems can start to drop some precipitation during that time frame. 8 to 14 day, not much different there as well. So yeah, anyway, we'll be watching that trophy out through the extended forecast. Get ready for the heat coming up here, as it's going to be well above average for most of the state, as you saw. And fire danger is going to be apparent as we go through the month of September and on in through October. Of course, if you lived in California for any length of time, you know some significant fire danger exists all the way out, even into the month of November at times. And, you know, we're just waiting to see what kind of storm train we start to get going here as we go on in through October, November, and December. Hopefully, we're going to be including California in some of these mid-latitude cyclones, bring some atmospheric rivers in there, and hopefully they're not too bad so we can start to wet things down again. Because, you know, most of the state is not in a drought. It doesn't have drought concerns right now, except for some northern portions. But, you know, and that's a big change from previous years. So we want to keep that run going. So hopefully we can bring an active storm system, or active storm season correction, as we go on in through the fall and the winter months for the state of California. Hopefully build up some nice snowpack across the Sierra Nevada, which we'll be going over on a daily basis as well once we start to see some of that snow fly as we get on into November and December. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Otherwise, click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.